Um, Good morning. My name is Ana Sánchez Zurano. As Gabriel say, I am a professor in the University of Murcia, but I did my PhD here in Almería. Before starting the presentation, I would like to send the organization, the organizer of the Paraqua Coast, Serena, and the local organizer, Gabriel. Also, I want to send the on-site and online attendees. As I mentioned, I did my PhD here in Almería in the Gabriel group, and my PhD was focused on modeling microalgae bacteria interaction in microalgae-based wastewater treatment system. During my time in Almería, we tried to develop a rapid, simple, and economic technique to study the microbial interaction that appear in microalgae culture, especially in microalgae wastewater treatment system. For this purpose, we focus on phytorespirometry as a rapid technique to characterize algae cultures. I would like to introduce you today this technology and the more useful application of this technique. Okay. Respirometry is not a new technique. Respirometry is a really useful technique used in activated slag processes to study the heterotrophic bacteria activity and the autotrophic bacteria activity. Also, photorespirometry is used in natural environment to study the photosynthetic activity of phytoplankton. And currently, is a promising technique to characterize the algae-bacteria interaction that appear in a microalgae system, especially in large-scale microalgae system, in which microalgae establish a relationship with bacteria. And what is the common factor all of the variation of respirometry or photorespirometry? So the more important factor is the dissolved oxygen, because we know that when we are working with algae culture, the dissolved oxygen concentration increase under illumination and decrease under dark condition by the respiration activity. So using dissolved oxygen, we try to standardize the photorespirometry technique. Photorespirometry, as I say, is a technique to determine the photosynthetic activity and the respiratory activity in algae culture through the dissolved oxygen concentration in the culture. For this purpose, we use light and dark cycle that allow us to determine these two activity or these two phenomena in algae culture. Using this methodology, we found different applications, and today I will introduce you two of the more useful applications, especially when you are working in large-scale microalgae facilities. One of the applications of photorespirometry is to study the influence of environmental and operational variables like temperature, pH, light on microalgae activity. Because depending on this condition, algae respond, the photosynthesis of algae responds. So with photorespirometry, we can determine the influence of this parameter or this factor easily. The other important application is to study the consortia that appear in microalgae-based wastewater treatment system between microalgae and bacteria. When we are producing algae with wastewater, or when we are treating wastewater with algae, interaction between algae and the organisms that appear in wastewater are stabilized. And with this technique, we can study the interaction between algae and bacteria. normally, the bacteria that we study with this technology is heterotrophic bacteria and nitrifying bacteria. Well, let's go to study the two applications. The first one application is the use of photorespirometry to study the influence of environmental and operational conditions on microalgae activity. We know that when we are producing microalgae in photobioreactor, both in indoor photobioreactor or outdoor photobioreactor, different parameter or factor appear and determine the growth of algae. The first one parameter is the light. Light determines the growth of algae. It's the most important factor, but the influence of light is modulated by the other parameters as temperature, pH, dissolved oxygen, and also the nutrient concentration. The nutrient concentration, the main nutrient that we study normally are nitrogen and phosphorus in algae culture, and in bacteria, also the influence of organic matter. So in traditional experiment, when we want to study how this variable affect algae growth or biomass production in a photobioreactor, we have to do time-consuming experiment in which we are monitoring every day the growth of algae. But we propose an alternative using the photorespirometry. Using the photorespirometry, we can determine the photosynthetic activity of algae and relate this photosynthetic activity with the biomass growth. For this purpose, we have to focus in the photosynthesis process. We know that microalgae are photosynthetic microorganisms, and during the photosynthesis, microalgae use carbon dioxide as a carbon source and sunlight as an energy source. And in this process, dissolved oxygen is releasing and microalgae biomass is produced. These are the principal phenomena that appear during the photosynthesis processes, and this processes is schematic in the photosynthesis formula that we have here. In this formula, we know that we need 6 mole of carbon dioxide, 6 mole of water, light, and we can produce 1 mole of biomass. In this case, we put sugar, but a simplification of the biomass. And also, we can produce 6 mole of dissolved oxygen. So if we have a technique that allows us to monitor easy parameter as dissolved oxygen, we can relate the dissolved oxygen with the biomass production, because we know that if it's 6 mole of dissolved oxygen, it relates with 1 mole of biomass. So photorespirometry is a technique that allows us to measure the dissolved oxygen concentration or the dissolved oxygen production in the culture and relate this dissolved oxygen production with biomass using this stoichiometry. How we can measure this activity or the dissolved oxygen production? We know that microalgae perform 2 different activities: photosynthetic activity and respiratory activity. Under illumination, we know that algae perform photosynthesis, while in the same time perform respiratory activity. So under light condition, we have these 2 phenomena, photosynthesis and respiration. However, when we expose algae under dark condition, we only have the respiratory activity of algae. So if we can determine the dissolved oxygen production in lab during the light phases and dissolved oxygen consumption during the dark phases, we can determine the microalgae photosynthetic activity or only the microalgae activity take account these two phenomena. To determine these two activity, it's easy. We can take a flask, we can add a culture, we use a lamp, we take a dissolved oxygen proof, and we measure if the dissolved oxygen increase or not increase. But we have a more sophisticated equipment that allow us to control the condition in which we want to measure this activity and change this condition if we want to test different options. This equipment is the photorespirometer. Here in this slide, we have a schematic figure of the respirometer, but during the last part of the course, we will go to IFAPA, and in IFAPA, you will see the real photorespirometer and the methodology that we use to determine these activities. The respirometry consists on a jacketed and stirred flask here with LED lights on both sides, on the right and on the left. And also the flask, in the flask, we have different proofs. The proof that we have here in the respirometer are the light proof, the temperature proof, pH proof, and also we have an air bubble. These proofs are essential because the light proof is totally necessary because we have to know the average light inside of the culture, because with the sensor we can monitor and control the light intensity in the middle of the culture. Also, we have the temperature proof because maybe we want to know the algae activity at 20 degrees, at 40 degrees, at 10 degrees, and with this proof we can measure the real temperature in the culture. And to regulate the temperature in the culture, we use a bath. Also, we have a pH proof if we want to test the activity of algae at different value of pH. And we can regulate the pH. We have different methodology to regulate the pH. Some group use acid and basic, and other group regulate the pH with carbon dioxide. In the equipment, we have an air bubble. We have an air bubble because in some experiment, we want to know the algae activity at different dissolved oxygen concentration, or also we want to start all the experiment in the same dissolved oxygen concentration. So these air bubbles are useful for two applications. All these proofs are controlled by LabJat, and LabJat is connected to the computer. Using the computer, we can monitor the variable in real time, and also we can change some condition in the photorespirometer. Well, this is the equipment that we normally use, and also we have a methodology or a standardized methodology that we apply to measure the microalgae activity, taking account the oxygen production during the light phase and the oxygen consumption during the dark phase. Okay. In this slide, we have a schematic figure of the methodology that we normally use. To measure the oxygen production rate and the oxygen consumption rate, we need to apply dark and light cycle. In this dark and light cycle, we will measure the dissolved oxygen concentration in the culture. Normally, each phase, dark phase and light phase, take 4 minutes. In these 4 minutes, we measure the oxygen production or the oxygen consumption. For the mathematical calculation in the program only takes the 2 last minutes, because the first 2 minutes of each phase is considered that is is adaptation time. So you apply cycle of dark and light condition. Each cycle take 4 minutes, and we discard the first 2 minutes, and we take the last 2 minutes to do to determine the rate. In the first case, in the dark phase is the oxygen consumption rate, and in the light phase, the oxygen production rate. To start the experiment, we always start in the same point. What is the same point? We want to study the activity in the saturation condition. I mean, we start each experiment at 100% of dissolved oxygen saturation. That is this point. Here we start the test, and firstly, we expose algae under dark condition during 4 minutes. In this 4 minutes, the dissolved oxygen concentration decreases, and when the test finishes, the equipment stop the measurement, and the air bubble start. The air bubble start up to the saturation, up to 100%. When the dissolved oxygen concentration reaches 100%, start the new phase, that is a light phase. In this light phase, we observe that the dissolved oxygen concentration increase, and after 4 minutes, the equipment stop, and the air proof start to bubble air up to reach again the saturation. So we apply this cycle 3-4 times, because we want to determine 3-4 values of oxygen production rate and oxygen consumption rate to do the average. Okay. In this slide, we have a experimental value of typical photorespirometry. Here we can observe that the program registered a different value. The first one that we have here, this is the oxygen consumption rate. As you see here, the oxygen consumption rate is measured in oxygen milligram per liter and per hour. This is the real value that the program or the system gives us. This value is a negative value because it's a negative rate, because the dissolved oxygen is consuming in the culture. Also, here we can see the temperature and the pH during the test. Here we have the temperature and pH during the dark phases. The temperature in this experiment is close to 25 degrees, because we control the temperature with the bath. Moreover, in this table, we can see two values related with the light or with the radiation, because we fix the radiation in the culture. In this case, is the first this column. Here we observe that we fix the radiation at 500 microessen per square meter per second, and in the next column we have the real radiation in the culture. So on the equipment, I think it's worked very well, because it's the same. In the respirometer, give us the oxygen production rate, that is this value, that is a positive value because the oxygen is increasing in the culture, and also the temperature and the pH during the late phases. During the training, we will see this table and we can study all these variables. Okay. Using this experimental data, we perform different analyses. The first analysis is to determine the real microalgae photosynthetic activity or the microalgae photosynthetic rate. For this purpose, we have to consider the two activities that we measure, the oxygen production rate and the oxygen consumption rate. These rates are in oxygen milligram per liter per hour, and we want to normalize this value. So we determine the real oxygen production rate and oxygen consumption rate, divided the rate by the biomass concentration, because we perform a test at 20 degrees, 25, and maybe tomorrow we want to compare this data with other experiments performed at 30 degrees. So we need to normalize the data by biomass concentration. So when we normalize the oxygen production rate and oxygen consumption rate, we can determine the microalgae photosynthetic rate as oxygen production rate minus oxygen consumption rate. So this is more or less the methodology that we use or we apply to determine the activity of algae under the influence of different environmental or operational conditions. This methodology is not only useful to determine the response of algae at different temperature or different concentration of nutrients. Also, if we have a culture and in the culture appear a predator or a fungi parasite, we can observe doing a photorespirometry that the activity of algae decrease. So it's a useful technique not only to detect the influence of operational factors, also the system of different predator or contaminant or something like that. Okay, now I will introduce you some example of this methodology or this technique. In this first case, we study the microalgae photosynthetic rate of 3 different microalgae strains with different industrial interests, as Stenodermus almeriensis, that is our algae, Chlorella vulgaris, and Nanochlorosis galitana. We perform this test at 30 degrees, and we study the response of the three strains at different irradiance from 0 to 2000 microstrain per square meter per second. In this table, we can observe the microalgae activity of each strain. Here we have the microalgae activity, not the oxygen production and oxygen consumption. It's the final microalgae activity, taking account the two phenomena, the photosynthesis and the respiration. Here we have the experimental data that we obtain and also the standard deviation. If we represent this data, we obtain a figure as we have here. In this figure, we have the irradiance and also the microalgae activity or the microalgae photosynthetic rate. If we look this experimental data, we observe that the microalgae activity increase to a point in which remain constant. And using this experimental data, the next step is modeling this experimental data. This part is really related with the Enrique presentation that he did the presentation yesterday, and we were in collaboration. And when we have this experimental data, we start the modeling process. In this case, we model this experimental data using the ground model, but now is a photosynthetic model of Molina. That is the equation that we have here. In this equation, we observe different parameter or characteristic parameter as the maximum photosynthetic rate, that it will be as the maximum biomass growth. And also we have the irradiance, the light affinity constant, and N, that is a shape parameter. If we model our experimental data using this mathematical equation, we can obtain the value of the different parameters and also the representation that we have here. This modeling approach is really useful because you can compare the maximum photosynthetic rate of the three strains at the same temperature. So it's really useful when you want to apply this in a real system, because you can estimate your productivity, because as we say in the photosynthesis slide, we can relate this maximum photosynthesis rate with the maximum biomass production or maximum biomass growth. Well, I think okay. Now we will see another example of the application of this methodology. This example was using in a paper or in a work that Enrique and we did in collaboration. And my part was in the lab to study the influence of temperature in different algae strains, in 5 algae strains: Spirulina platensis, Chlorella vulgaris, Nanochlorosis galitana, Isochrysis galvana, and Steneresmus almeriensis. For this strain, I performed some photorespirometry experiments, and we observed the response of the algae at different temperature value. To obtain the experimental data, we model this data using the cardinal equations. Using this cardinal equation, we can obtain the optimum temperature, minimum temperature, and maximum temperature for each algae. Studying the influence of temperature on microalgae strain, we study the influence of light in this strain, and we study the influence of light on this strain using the optimal temperature for each algae strain. When we perform this experiment, we obtain different experimental data, and we feed this experimental data with the Molina model or with the Molina equations. Also, we obtain the characteristic parameter that the more important as the maximum photosynthesis rate and the constant affinity. In this slide, we can observe some of the experimental data, the experimental data that we obtain after the modeling processes. Here, I selected the optimal temperature for each algae, and we observe that the optimal temperature of each algae is close to 30 degrees. We study Steneresmus, Nanochlorosis, Chlorella, Spirulina. The highest optimal temperature was for Spirulina platensis. And what we can do with this data? With this data, Enrique performed some model approach in which he tried to determine the optimal depth of the culture in each season depending on this result. Because if we know the optimal temperature of each strain, we can try to control the reactor to manage it in this optimal temperature. To have a temperature control is not easy, but you can apply different strategies as regulate the depth or the depth of the culture. For this purpose, we take the environmental data of Almeria in different seasons. Enrique performed the model, and this model allows us to know what is the culture temperature and the oxygen production rate of each algae depending on the environmental temperature in Almeria. And also, we can relate the oxygen production with the biomass productivity. And the final part was to select the optimal deep culture to maximize the biomass productivity, because algae will be exposed under the optimal temperature for each algae. Well, now We will see briefly the other application of photorespirometry, that is study the interaction that appear between microalgae and bacteria in microalgae-based wastewater treatment system. Microalgae, under light condition, microalgae release dissolved oxygen, and the dissolved oxygen is used by bacteria. Bacteria within the bacteria group, here in our area, we distinguish two main groups: heterotrophic bacteria and nitrifying bacteria. Heterotrophic bacteria are capable to consume or degrade organic matter using the dissolved oxygen produced by algae. And nitrifying bacteria perform the nitrification process, in which ammonium is oxidized to nitrates. The activity of these three main groups, heterotrophic bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, microalgae, is a coordinated activity, because each group contributes to the consortia. And we try to study the contribution of each microbial group using the oxygen consumption and the oxygen production. And using this idea, we improve the traditional photorespirometry to try to identify how each group contribute to the consortia. For this purpose, we part the same that we saw in the last slide, because we can determine the microalgae photosynthetic rate using a cycle of light and dark condition. And now, if we want to study the heterotrophic respiration rate and the nitrifying respiration rate, that I mean the heterotrophic activity and the nitrifying activity, we can use a specific substrate. For determining heterotrophic activity, we can use sodium acetate, because if we add sodium acetate in a microalgae bacteria culture, bacteria start to consume the acetate, and the dissolved oxygen concentration in the culture decrease. This idea is the same for nitrifying bacteria. We know that nitrifying bacteria oxidize ammonium. So if we use a substrate as ammonium chloride, we can observe that the dissolved oxygen concentration in the culture decrease, because the bacteria are consuming the nitrogen, or it's performing the nitrification process. So, taking in mind this concept, we use a specific methodology in the photorespirometer to determine these activities. The first activity that we determine using the photorespirometer is the same that we saw. We apply a cycle of light and dark condition to determine the microalgae activity. When we determine, after determining the microalgae activity, we start to determine the heterotrophic activity. For this purpose, we use a new culture that is the same that we used previously for determining the microalgae activity, and we add the sodium acetate. When we add the substrate, we observe that the dissolved oxygen concentration in the culture decreases, because here we have two respiratory activities: the respiration, the endogenous respiration by algae, and the respiration by bacteria, because bacteria are consuming these substrates. So using this response, we can determine the heterotrophic activity. The same idea is used to determine the nitrifying activity. For this purpose, we take another sample, we add the sample to the respirometer, and we add the specific substrate for nitrifying bacteria. When we add this substrate, we observe also that the dissolved oxygen concentration in the culture decrease. And this oxygen consumption is because the algae respiration and the nitrifying bacteria respiration. Now, when we perform different tests using this methodology, we start with the mathematical calculation to determine the activity of the three groups. And here we have the mathematical or the mathematical part. The first one is the same. We use the oxygen production rate and the oxygen consumption rate to determine the microalgae photosynthetic rate. For this purpose, we normalize the respirometer data using the biomass concentration of the culture. After that, to determine the heterotrophic activity and the nitrifying activity, we use a new parameter. This new parameter is the heterotrophic consumption rate that we measured in the previous slide in this part, in this dark phase. In these dark phases, when we add the substrate specific for heterotrophic bacteria, we obtain a new rate. And this rate, we use this rate, we normalize this rate using the biomass concentration, and we use this for determining the heterotrophic activity, because the heterotrophic activity is the rate that we determine using the substrates minus the oxygen consumption rate during the dark phase in the microalgae endogenous respiration. So we apply this methodology to determine the heterotrophic bacteria activity and also the nitrifying bacteria activity. In one case, using the sodium acetate, and the other case using the ammonium chloride. This methodology will be applied in different algae bacteria culture, and we can compare the result because sometimes we want to potentiate the microalgae activity, but maybe in other case we prefer to potentiate the heterotrophic activity. I mean, when we have a wastewater with a high organic matter concentration, maybe we want to potentiate the heterotrophic activity to degrade the organic matter. In this slide, we can see an example of this methodology. And in this case, we determine microalgae activity, heterotrophic bacteria activity, and nitrifying bacteria activity from different microalgae system or microalgae culture. In this case, we have a freshwater culture, a microalgae bacteria culture using pig manure or pig slurry as a nutrient source. Also, we study the microalgae bacteria consortia in a system fed with primary domestic wastewater, and also using agriculture leachate. We study these three activity in this sample, and in this graphic we have the result that we obtain. Here we can see microalgae activity, heterotrophic activity, and nitrifying activity. For me, the most important conclusion is that the microalgae contribution is higher than the bacteria contribution, and in all cases, it's the same result. When we have a mixed culture, microalgae bacteria culture, in terms of oxygen production and oxygen consumption, algae is the one, always. And now we can compare the activity of the bacteria between the different effluent, because we observe that in agriculture leachate, we obtain the maximum heterotrophic and nitrifying activity. But in this type of wastewater, we have a high level of organic matter and high level of ammonium. So it's a normal or expected result. Also, we can use this methodology not only to determine the microalgae and bacteria activity in algae system. We can use this methodology to model the influence of environmental factor as light, temperature, or operational factor as pH, dissolved oxygen, on microalgae activity, and also on heterotrophic activity and nitrifying activity. In this work, we perform the same analysis or we perform the same methodology that we saw previously to study not only the influence of temperature on microalgae activity and also on heterotrophic activity and nitrifying activity. We obtain different experimental data, and we fit this experimental data using equation as the cardinal equation. This same approach we were used to determine the influence of pH on microalgae, heterotrophic bacteria, and nitrifying bacteria. And also, all of these experimental data were fit with the cardinal equation. The same for the dissolved oxygen concentration. We perform the photorespirometry experiment, changing the dissolved oxygen concentration and in the culture, and we observe the response of the three groups. All of these experimental data were fit with the proposed equation. Okay, after all the experiment and after modeling all of these response, here we have a summary of all of the results. If we look this result, we can see that the optimum variable for each group is different. I mean, in the case of temperature, we observe that the optimum temperature for algae is more or less 30 degrees, for heterotrophic bacteria 36 degrees, and 33 for nitrifying bacteria. So here we see that if the temperature in the culture increase or decrease, the consortia, the relation in between microalgae bacteria in the consortia also change. So this methodology is really useful to study the influence of this variable and to have a rapid technique or a rapid method to change or to comprovate the interaction between the microorganisms. Finally, I would like to introduce you briefly a result from a work or a paper that we did in collaboration with a group in Milano with Elena Ficara and Simone Rossi, because I performed my international stay during the PhD in Milano, and we collaborate to improve this methodology, because we work using photorespirometer, but also in Milano, this group are really expert in this methodology, and I really learn with them. The improvement of the methodology was to divide the nitrifying bacteria. I say that nitrifying bacteria oxidize ammonium to nitrate, but in reality, this process consists on two steps. The first one is performed by ammonium oxidizing bacteria, in which ammonium is oxidized up to nitrite. And in the second step, the nitrite is oxidized up to nitrate by the nitrite oxidizing bacteria. In this work, we try to model these two activities, the two bacteria activity, the ammonia oxidizing bacteria and the nitrate oxidizing bacteria, and also to model the influence of environmental factor on heterotrophic bacteria. We not only modeling this activity in algae bacteria culture, but also in activated slug processes, because we wanted to know if the activity of this bacteria is the same or is different if we use algae in the system or we don't use algae in the system. Here we have a figure that in which we can see the parameter that we test and the range of this parameter, and we test the influence of temperature, pH, dissolved oxygen, and also the main nutrient concentration that appear in the wastewater. And in the next slide, we have a different figure in which we can represent the experimental data that we obtain and also the modeling that we apply. And in this case, we have the influence of temperatures on heterotrophic bacteria, ammonium oxidizing bacteria, and nitrate oxidation bacteria. This figure includes also this activity in activated sludge processes and this activity in microalgae bacteria processes. And we can observe that in some case, the behavior and the different temperature condition is the same, but in other case, the optimal temperature and the minimum and maximum change depend on if we are using only activated sludge or if we are using a microalgae culture. This is the same for the pH. We also evaluate the influence of the pH, the influence of the dissolved oxygen. All of our experimental data fit with different models, and we model the influence of nutrient concentration of each bacteria groups. And I don't want to extend more in more time. So to finalize, I would like to say that photorespirometry is a really useful, rapid, and economic technique that allows us to characterize microalgae bacteria consortia and to distinguish the contribution of each group to the consortia, and also to study and to model the influence of the culture condition on microalgae, and also on different group of bacteria. So thank you so much for attending today.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna, for the excellent presentation. Plenty of data.
Yes, too much.
No, it's very interesting. Now we have time for questions from the audience. Yes, Daniel?
I didn't understand, because in the beginning you said that photorespirometry is not a new technique. So
No, yes.
But I didn't understand if the setup you explained is a commercial setup or something you developed here.
It's a equipment that we developed here, but other groups are also developing other kind of photorespirometer, but the objective is the same. So the technique is not a new technique; it's a classical technique. But now we have a more sophisticated equipment, and we have standardized the methodology.
But it's not a commercial equipment.
No, it's no.
I don't.
It's a handmade equipment.
Yes.
Oh.
As I know, there is not companies commercializing this equipment.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago I used to use one with a pen
Yes.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Now the equipment that we are using is more robust and more reliable because we developed with the colleagues from the informatics department, and then
Yes.
all the signals are better managed, etc. And the precision of the methodology increased a lot.
Do you intend to commercialize it?
Yes, but we always find the same problem. We need a company that is able to do that because we cannot put the students to build the equipment. Then we are trying not only for this purpose, but other developments that we have to find companies interested to commercialize this type of equipment.
Okay. Thank you.
More questions?
Serena.
Please, Serena. I think you can participate directly.
Yeah, hi, Hannah. Thanks for the presentation. Yeah, I'm wondering if you it happens to you to test the method on some contaminated culture, and you think it can be also a method that can be used for the early detection of problems and this kind of issue that can arise with the culture production.
Yes, because this technique is really rapid, so you can use this methodology to monitor every day your culture. If you detect a decreasing in the microalgae activity, you can try to relate this process with some predator or contaminator, or maybe it's an environmental influence, but you have the tool to say, how I have a problem. I try to find what is the problem. Yes.
At this respect, I think that we must to consider that we need to integrate different approaches. I mean, by sure, omic techniques will be the most sensible to detect the presence of this pathogen or whatever. Using respirometry, as Anna already mentioned, we are able to, to monitor the performance of the culture. And then if the culture is performing well, we will always obtain a certain value of photosynthesis. In the moment that we have a problem in the culture, we will observe a decrease in this performance. The advantage of this photorespirometry technique is, as Anna mentioned, is very fast. It's only to take the samples, to put in the vessel, and to push the button. Then in 20 minutes, you obtain the measurements about the real performance of the culture. But by sure, we will be able only to detect that there is a decrease in the performance once the problem achieve a certain proportion. For early detection, I think that we need microscopic tools or omic tools or something like that.
It's complementary. Yeah. It's more
Yeah.
precision than would be needed. Okay, yeah, I see. Thank you.
There is another technique that we use is fluorescence of chlorophylls. This technique is also very useful for that. But the major disadvantage of fluorescence of chlorophylls is that you must to measure in the reactor. Because if you take the sample outside, you are more or less avoiding the conditions in the culture. You are measuring the performance. It's similar to photorespirometry, yes, certain conditions. It's also very fast. It's
Yes.
always we need the complementarity between these techniques.
Yes.
More questions? I want to I take some notes about the presentation. I want to remark one important point. One of the advantages of photorespirometry is that we measure the real status of the samples of the cultures at the condition that they have in the reactors. Then we can mimic these conditions, and then we evaluate that. Or, as Anna mentioned, we can modify the conditions, more or less considering the complete range of conditions that the reactor can suffer along the day or a different season, etc. But don't forget that also timing is very important. I mean, if you expose the cells to 35 degrees for a few minutes, as you already see in the presentation, we obtain very nice performance of the cell. But if you provide 35 degrees or 40 for 2 hours or 6 hours, probably the culture will die. Then photorespirometry is a technique to evaluate the immediate effect of the parameters. If you want to study the accumulation of these effects, you must perform the photorespirometry at different times, okay, to mimic or to know which is the evolution of the cultures.
Yes, we try to do a model that include temperature and time. Yes, we have experimental data, but we didn't finish. Maybe in the future we have to focus
Yes,
on
we are working.
integrate the two.
We are working on that.
Yes.
To include in the models the dynamic behavior of the cultures. Then how long the culture were exposed to certain conditions, and then it's the same that us. We cannot measure or grow if we take breakfast in the morning or lunch. It's a consequence of the entire lifestyle. Then it's more or less the same. To try to integrate in these models not only the static values of the parameters, but also the dynamic and the history of the culture. Okay, but this is a next step in the modeling. Yes, I have another question. We have time? Yes, 3 minutes. Very important. Anna explained that the measurements, and some people measuring performing photorespirometry, they measure milligrams of oxygen per liter and per day or per hour. Is the amount of oxygen that is produced in the vessel. Okay, but to really use properly these numbers, we need to normalize to the biomass concentration. Then don't manage milligrams per liter and per day, because if the biomass concentration in your samples modify, your final response modify. Then to make the measurement intensive, you need to normalize dividing by the biomass concentration. Well, what is biomass? Biomass is the amount of solids that we retain using a filter, the normal dry weight that we perform. But when we move from algae reactors to algae reactors containing wastewater or whatever, we observe and already demonstrate that we have bacteria. It's necessary to normalize the measurements to the amount of bacteria that we have in the reactors. We were discussing this point for a long time, and we conclude no, because we don't know how much bacteria, algae, or whatever we have in the solids. And at the end, this is the regular measurement. And then we always divide the oxygen production by the total biomass we have. We don't differentiate between bacteria or fungi or algae or cyanobacteria or whatever. We cannot do that. And from the engineering point of view, this is the most reasonable approach. Of course, with the help of omic techniques, we can try to find this or to evaluate the number of this proportion of bacteria, proportion of algae, and then to have more fundamental approaches or whatever. But at this time, this is the methodology. And finally, it's also related with omics. Yesterday, Elisa was talking about functionalities. How functionalities can be anticipated by the omic techniques. But this is the reason, because we need to integrate this photorespirometry and the studies that Anna already mentioned. We are able to measure the amount of nitrifying activity, denitrifying activity, and then we need to find in the omics that we have the genetic or the enzymes related with this activity. But this is mainly to confirm, to establish or to validate the results with the origin. Okay? Because in my opinion, only to have one simple measurement is not enough. We need to be sure that if we are measuring some effect, it's because we have certain microorganisms or enzymes capable to provide these effects in the culture. Okay, I don't know if there is some other questions. Yes, Daniel?
Just a brief question, real quick. Why not normalize it by chlorophyll like you used to do in vortex?
Because the chlorophyll content of the biomass largely modified. And then if we normalize to chlorophyll, we are more or less reducing the amount of bacteria or whatever that we have in the culture.
Wait for the oxygen production.
It's oxygen production, but we want to normalize the oxygen production by the total solid that we produce. But as Anna already mentioned, the idea is to include these equations in the model, and the model will provide us the final biomass we will obtain. And including the model is capable to provide a certain percentage of bacteria and algae in the final biomass we are producing. Okay? Yes, that's all. Okay.
Okay.
Muchas gracias, Ana.
Muchas
Thank you very
gracias.
much.